The following podcast is scheduled for one recording with no time limit. Making their way down to somewhere in the ring, Andrew Sanford and Ryan Sprague.
Hey, that's some wrestling rock for you. It's pretty great. I am Andrew Sanford, and this is Somewhere in the Ring, and I am alone-ish. My children are in the other room. They did not nap today because we took an excursion last night to see the great jack-o'-lantern blaze in Hudson Valley, New York, which you should go see if you can. Free plug for the jack-o'-lantern blaze. You are welcome, and I know you need it. No, the line to get in, even in our car, was like 20 minutes. Anyway, we had a great time. The boys are not napping, and that's not probably what you're wondering. Ryan is not with me currently. We are going to hear from Ryan in a little bit with his review of WrestleDream, the latest event from AEW that saw a pretty big retirement. But look, Ryan is off recording a show. I was coming back from a 24-hour family trip, less than 24 hours, honestly. And so things are going to be a bit different today. We've done one of these before where I went all solo Sokoa, but this is a little different because Ryan will be joining us later. We'll be giving a little mini review. But we're just going to we're going to catch up. We've had some great guests on recently. We've talked some horror movies, or a horror movie. We talked with John Trowbridge. If you went to see the greatest solo storytelling show ever, I'm tired, everybody. Let us know, because it's an awesome show, and I've seen it, and I would love to hear your thoughts. But today, because we've been doing things a little bit outside of the box, I thought it would be good, Ryan thought it would be good if we gave you a recap of what's going on in the wrestling world. And every now and then, my kids might pop in to say hi. What's up, bud? Can you share, please? Can you be nice? All right, well, if he's playing with it right now, you just have to wait your turn, okay? All right, Daddy's doing a show right now. Can you say hi? Into the mic. I can't. Here, ready? Go ahead.
Hi.
Hey, wait, can you say leave a review on the podcast page?
I'm Saya, and I think you like me because I have a white car. Oh.
That's true, he's got a red car. Okay, yes, you can say hi, and then everybody has to leave Daddy alone for a few minutes, okay? I will. Just a second, Augie. What's your name? Uh-huh. And why do they like you?
Because I'm cute.
That's true. Okay, sweethearts.
Can he say hi?
Well, no, you guys can hang out in here, but Daddy's doing a show. You can say bye to everybody, but then if you want to hang out in here, you got to be quiet. Okay? Or you can go play in the living room, and I'll be there in a little bit. You're going to hang out? All right, have a seat, Isaiah. Well, they're not. I'm recording this right now, so I'm not talking to a friend. They didn't say anything. People are going to listen to this later. They're going to listen to you guys. Can I get back to doing the show? Awesome. Augie, you can go sit down if you want. So I'm talking about Friday Night Smackdown. We got to see Jey Uso get referenced. We saw a little bit more of him on Raw last night. We saw the triumphant return or continued return of Jimmy Uso. Isaiah, we're leading to more of a bloodline reunion. Is that exciting for you? Yep. Yeah, it's exciting for me too. That was happening on SmackDown. Fun stuff on SmackDown. They are slowly building to the bloodline, the old school bloodline reunion. And I've been enjoying that quite a bit. Isaiah, sweetheart. So, a lot has happened between Friday and today, including a pay-per-view from AEW called WrestleDream. And right now, Ryan is going to give us his thoughts on it. I was not able to see it. He was. So let's go to Ryan and hear what he has to say.
What's up, guys? Ryan here, and I want to thank Andrew first and foremost for putting this episode together this week for you guys. We just were not able to make our times come together this week to record while Andrew is in New York City and I'm currently in Nova Scotia filming Haunted. But Andrew was kind enough to put together a recap and review of Smackdown this past week and Raw for you guys. Little bit of news, so I can't wait to hear that. But the reason I'm chiming in here is because I did have the opportunity to watch AEW Wrestledream. And I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of my review for this. You know, we try to be fair and cover everything we can when it comes to independent wrestling, AEW, WWE, and everything in between. So AEW had this big pay-per-view this past weekend, and it was interesting, to say the least. So I'm going to quickly go through some of this for you guys here. We had, let me get here, for the opening match of AEW Wrestledream, Jay White versus Adam Page, two former members of the Bullet Club. This was an incredible match. I mean, methodical, slow, told a great story. These guys just gave it their all, and every single move mattered in this match. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch it, I would highly suggest going to do so. And it ended with White defeating Page. And yeah, like I said, just a great way to start this pay-per-view. I gave the match an A- on that one. Next up, we had Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale. Wasn't quite sure what to expect with this one. Not too familiar with either of these wrestlers. I know Willow Nightingale has a history with Mercedes Moné, and Mariah May became the new women's champion after defeating Toni Storm. I believe it was at All In. So it was cool to see Mariah May on display here. I thought she was fantastic. And Nightingale gave a great match as well. But yeah, it was just so-so. I gave this one a B-. Next up, we had Jack Perry versus Katsuyori Shibata. Absolutely horrendous. Terrible match. This was for the TNT Championship, and this just goes to show that nobody cares about Jack Perry. And yeah, just horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, but that's just the way the cookie crumbled for me. Next up, we had Will Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Takeshita. This was a triple threat match for the International Championship. It was stellar match. You had, obviously, Ricochet and Ospreay on display with all their fun gymnastic stuff, but Takeshita was actually there to break that up, make this an actual match, and there were several spots where he really got the upper hand over both these guys with just some strong style wrestling, which I really liked. Some really good spots throughout this match, and all of them proved that they were not messing around. I give this match an A+, one of the best of the year for me personally when it comes to AEW. I should also mention that Wrestledream was in Washington State, so we did have a couple cool things happen too that weren't wrestling matches per se, but we did have Swerve Strickland make an appearance to talk to the Washington audience, which is so cool. I know the scrum afterwards, he gave some super love to Defy Wrestling, where he truly got a start and where he says that he truly became a star, and thanked Defy Wrestling for that. So shout out to Jim Perry over at Defy Wrestling. That was really cool to see Swerve there. And then we had the debut of Shelton Benjamin came out. So that was pretty cool. Got to see Shelton. I know he's going to be making his in-ring debut very soon. I believe either on Dynamite. Yeah, I believe it's Dynamite. So there you go. And we also had the return of Adam Cole, which was really cool. You know, Adam's been injured for a really long time, and I've actually been following his gaming, his Twitch streams recently, and he's just such an upbeat, positive person. You can tell being out of the ring and being injured really affected him mentally, I'm sure emotionally, obviously physically, but he seemed to have gotten really down and depressed. So, watching his Twitch streams and seeing fans pour their hearts out and say, we love you, and to see him get so emotional and say how much the fans mean to him, really hit me. So to see him make his AEW return was super, super cool. Sounds like they might be setting up a little something between him and MJF. So that will be cool to see moving forward. And I know Shelton Benjamin and, the Hurt Club? Forgive me, guys. I'm not too sure. I don't know that faction. But apparently Bobby Lashley will be making his debut, which I know Andrew will be talking about in the news section as well, very soon in AEW to the Hurt Business. Sorry, the Hurt Business. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, I did want to add this in there that we did have some returns and some debuts of wrestlers as well. Next up, we had Hologram versus Beast Mortos. Really good match. Never seen Hologram, never seen Beast Mortos before. So to see a big guy versus a little kind of lucha libre guy was fun. It was fun. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match. I should mention, by the way, Takeshita ended up winning that match, so he did win the International Championship over Ospreay. So, yeah, sorry about that. Totally forgot. Hologram versus Mortos. This ended with Hologram defeating Mortos. It was fine. Gave it a B. Next up, we had Darby Allin versus Brody King. Just exactly what you would think. Very, very death-defying stunts by Darby. Brody King was on display again, doing what he does best, and that's just some action, some good stuff. Sorry if I'm really rushing through this, guys. I didn't want to take up too much time in this episode. I know Andrew's covering a lot. Let's see. Darby Allin defeated King. I give that a B. Young Bucks versus Private Party was next. This really was an opportunity for the Young Bucks to put them over, but they didn't, thus proving they are absolutely beyond done and washed up, and nobody cares about the Young Bucks. Chris Jericho versus Mark Briscoe. This was for the Ring of Honor. It was fine. Really nothing to write home about. Briscoe defeated Jericho. I give this a C. Then we finally had our main event, Bryan Danielson versus Moxley. This was interesting. Danielson came out to the final countdown, which played for a solid 3 minutes. I think it was the whole song. They must have really wanted to get their money's worth with licensing that song. But yeah, it was a weird ending. The ref kind of decided that Danielson could no longer compete, and Moxley was declared the winner and the new championship, which means that Danielson is inevitably done. That was his retirement match. He's done wrestling. Or is he? We will see. This is a weird ending. Moxley's crew came out, just started beating everyone up. We got another plastic bag over Danielson's head, which was extremely stupid. Darby Allin ran out. Jeff Jarrett ran out and got his eye busted open, like slit open. Really scary. But yeah, it was just such an anticlimactic way to end what could have been a pretty decent pay-per-view. So AEW does it again. They have some good matches, some so-so matches, some bomb awesome matches, and then they end it like a fart in the wind with this. Moxley defeated Danielson. I give this a C-. Absolutely terrible way to go out with Wrestledream. So there you go, guys. I wouldn't say this is even close to one of my favorite AEW pay-per-views, which they're usually pretty good at. Would have liked to have seen a bit more of the female roster displayed here, but unfortunately we didn't get that. And we ended with a main event that could have been not even a decent house show main event. So yeah, make of that what you will. And that's going to do it for me, guys. Enjoy the rest of this episode with Andrew, and we will see you again next week somewhere in the ring. Peace.
And we're back. Thank you, Ryan, for your thoughts on that. I'm I'll be interested I'm going to hear these along with everybody else, so I'll be interested in what Ryan thinks about them pushing Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy towards the end of that. At the end of there, maybe he didn't like it at all. That'll be some fun overlap here. So we then led to a Monday Night Raw that was also a pretty exciting Raw. From what I was able to, I love seeing Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair back with the belts, taking on teams like Damage Control, and having a really good match. And having a title defense on a Monday night. I think it's important to have those title defenses. I think it's important to keep them fresh in people's minds. And, it's just very exciting. I like that Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are becoming more of a team. One more time, and then you can go hang out in the living room, okay? Ready?
Hi.
Okay, can you say bye?
Bye.
Okay, can you go hang out? So yeah, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, big fans of both. I think they're becoming an even better tag team. And I'm glad that I really thought at a point in time that they were going to split them up. And I'm glad I was wrong about that. I like the tag team that they have become. It's pretty fantastic. Braun Breaker defeated Kofi Kingston, which I was not I love Kofi. I love that they're doing the whole storyline with him and Xavier Woods. It bums me out that we are so far removed. In watching Daniel Bryan retire this past weekend, Bryan Danielson. It's depressing that he had pushed so strongly for Kofi to win the Universal title and become the champ, and then it was removed from him so quickly. And I don't think they've ever really recovered. They haven't put the same import level of respect on Kofi since then. And I think that's a bummer. I think Kofi's one of the best people on the WWE roster, and he has been for some time. I think he deserves his flowers. He's on TV all the time. He's getting paid. I'm sure he's doing well. It's not like there's never been a time where they're like, oh, they let go of Kofi Kingston. I'm sure, I hope he's happy. I wish they did more with his character, is all. So yeah, then Rhea Ripley, Tiffany Stratton, teamed up to go against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And I love that it just kind of devolved into a big old brawl. And they're really building up some fun feuds in the women's division. And I think hopefully we're going to lead to I'm excited to see Rhea Ripley take on Liv Morgan. But I think seeing her get to go up against Nia Jax is even more exciting. So I'm glad they are building to that. Something I didn't love, and I think Ryan and I haven't gotten to talk about this too much since it happened. But Gunther will be taking on Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel for a Saudi Arabia title. I don't know what else to call it. I think it's called the Crown Jewel title. I think it's a bad idea. I think it kind of speaks to how under Saudi Arabia's thumb WWE is. I'm sure I know they get a lot of money for doing those shows, all this different stuff. But it's just a bad look. And it also doesn't make sense. It's so clear. Those two champions should not be facing each other. What if Cody loses? What if Cody loses and the Universal Champion lost to the World Heavyweight Champion, even if it is Gunther? What if Gunther loses? Why have him have the World Heavyweight title? It's just, the whole thing doesn't make sense, and it feels like it is just a way to please their Saudi Arabia investors and people, and it's a bummer. I should be happier to see Cody go up against Gunther. Their promos are great. I'm sure it'll be a good match, hopefully. But the stakes behind it are not good. They are not right. They are not just. I think it's silly. I think the more they lean into it, the more they push it, the more embarrassing it becomes. Because I doubt one of them is going to walk around with both belts. Maybe they will. Maybe it's something that gets defended once a year in Saudi Arabia, twice a year, something like that. I mean, there's all these rumors that Goldberg's going to be coming back anyway, so I hope they just give it to him and then retire him and the belt at the same time. Can that be my prediction? They're just going to give the belt to Goldberg and be like, okay, now we're not going to see either of you ever again. We'll still do shows. We'll still do all that stuff. No more Goldberg. No more Saudi belt. It just makes sense. I don't want it. I don't like it. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to watch Crown Jewel. I refuse. I don't watch any of those events. I think it's a bad look, and I'm not shy about saying that. So, it is what it is. Somebody else who isn't shy about that, CM Punk. Punk is not being scheduled for Crown Jewel. He's not going over there. He's not going to do it. He's not going to do those shows. And I'm sure there are plenty of wrestlers who would like to do the same thing that go even though they don't have a choice. We've seen plenty of them perform small protests when they're over there. I remember Finn Balor wearing a Pride shirt in the middle of the ring and taking like a secret picture, and like it's all well and good and it's very nice, but it just highlights that he could be hurt significantly for something like that in that country. So it's just not a good look, and because CM Punk has been very vocal about that for years, he will not be traveling and doing those shows. And I don't blame him. Don't make no sense. And I'm glad he has that kind of pull. It's always important to, once you get to that level, to use that kind of pull for that kind of reason. I doubt he's able to come right out and say, I'm not doing this because of X, Y, and Z. Sure, there are NDAs, all that kind of stuff that he just has to abide by, especially being at the level that he's at and the contract that he probably has. But I also know that, I hope that he would if he could, because he has in the past. And I know that him pulling out and not doing those shows is its own kind of protest. So I appreciate him for that. I respect the hell out of him for that. And I wish that other wrestlers were able to follow suit if they wanted to. Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. Maybe it's an absurd payday. I don't as much respect that reasoning if that's the case, but it is what it is. People got to feed their kids. They got to pay the bills. Keep the lights on. This reminds me, this is brought to you by JustCoffee.com. No, we don't have a sponsorship with Just Coffee. Pow! Did everybody ever listen to WTF with Mark Maron? You guys listen to other podcasts, or are you just mainlining wrestling podcasts? Be honest with me. I listen to too many podcasts and then have spent a good chunk of the last month listening to the 44-hour-long It audiobook narrated by Steven Weber. I think we talked about that when Hoff was on the show. And, look, it took that long. It took a month because I had to break it up, and now I've got all these podcasts on the backlog. Other things I'm listening to. But what other podcasts are y'all listening to? Who do you like? Who do you listen to where you're like, I bet we'd be friends if we hung out with them? If it's me, I'm touched. We had a little interview with Bronson Reed over the weekend. Not we, and I should have written down who interviewed him. Apologies. But if you search this subject, they should be easy to find. One of my favorite segments to come out of the WWE in the last 2 months, was when Bronson Reed went ham on Seth Rollins. Jumped off the turnbuckle and tsunamied him, did a tsunami splash to him 6 times. According to Bronson Reed, that was supposed to happen significantly fewer times. I believe, the direct quote was he said it was supposed to happen significantly less than 6 times, which is really funny. It's funny, but also I love it because I remember thinking during that segment, like, oh, they're done. And then they just kept going, and he kept getting back on the turnbuckle. And they kept pushing it. And he said, they were like, look, we were just listening to the crowd. They were really getting into it. So we got into it. And he jumped on Seth Rollins 6 times in one of my favorite little bits to come out of WWE, probably so far this year. You know, the year is almost up. So it was very, very good. And it's exciting to see Bronson Reed kind of get more of this like significant heel push. I like him as a wrestler. I have yet to see him wrestle someone that brings out the best in him. Maybe I didn't see a lot of his NXT matches, so maybe I just haven't seen him paired with the right person yet. But I'm excited for them to find a good competitor for him to go up against. Maybe a Gunther, somebody like that. Oh, one last thing something that maybe Ryan shared his thoughts about already. Shelton Benjamin got a nice little segment, a little promo with MVP against Swerve Strickland at WrestleDream, and people were really expecting Bobby Lashley to return. He did not. I don't think it's been said out loud yet, but everybody is just naturally assuming that he is over at AEW. He, I guess, will go up against Swerve Strickland, which makes sense title belt wise. It's always weird. Look, I am mixed race. I am half white and half black. I tend to look at racial angles of things, racial aspects of things, and wrestling has a problem where they're like, oh, we have black people, let's put them together. That could be a tag team, like Bianca Belair and Jade Cargo, and that could be like feuds. It could be just a lot of stuff, and it is long simmering and systemic, even. So if and when, more when than if Lashley does show up, if he does go up against Strickland, fine. Maybe it can be like a bit of a passing the torch type situation because Lashley's been wrestling a long time. So is Shelton Benjamin. But I think they still got some good mileage in them. I'm excited to see what Lashley does over at AEW. I am more excited to see what Shelton Benjamin does because I think they're going to give him the push he deserves. Ideally, we have seen plenty of people go over to AEW and then just disappear. Hello, Ricky Starks. Where you at, dog? Probably WWE soon. We'll see. I think there was rumors not too long ago, or not rumors, somebody asked CM Punk if he would start a stable in WWE anytime soon. I loved his time as the leader of Nexus. And he was basically like, look, I might, but not with anybody around here. And everybody, or not as many people around here. And everybody took that as like, he's going to bring in some AEW folks, which I think could be really cool. I almost wish, in a perfect world, he shows up with those folks. You know what I mean? Almost like another version of the Invasion, another version of the Bash at the Beach, the infamous Outsiders and the Third Man kind of stuff. But we'll see. There's still time. They can still push that angle. Last but not least, let's talk about my boy, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who I was thinking about a lot recently because I found out this weekend that my 12-year-old niece wants a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson cutout for Christmas. She wants a cutout for Christmas. I have been thinking about The Rock recently, and The Rock was part of his own rumors this past weekend where it had gotten out that The Rock would not be working WrestleMania 41, the next WrestleMania. You know, the one that they've pretty much been building up to. The Rock came out here on social media and said, don't believe any of that bullshiz. He did not say shiz, but you get the point. So The Rock may or may not be joining WrestleMania 41. I am recently of the belief, I think he's going to have a match with John Cena. I think they kind of have to do that if John Cena's doing. I kind of forgot because at the time I didn't appreciate it. I wonder if I would go back and watch those matches. Now I would think differently. He and The Rock have wrestled at 2 WrestleManias, and I think if John Cena is doing an end of his career tour, they got to do a number 3. I don't think The Rock is going to go up against Roman Reigns this year. I think it's going to be The Rock against John Cena. I think it has to be. That'll generate the most excitement. That, I think, is the only way you get bigger than WrestleMania 40, because I do think that John Cena will more than likely, ideally, be a part of WrestleMania 41, so why not run it back against The Rock? It just makes sense. Yeah. So that's all the news that's fit to print. I hope you enjoyed the show this week. I hope there weren't too many interruptions, but also, if there were, deal with it. I love my boys, and they're good guys, and they were mostly quiet for the 25 minutes that I made them sit quietly. You were quiet. Good job. Yeah. But that being said, thank you as always for listening. Go to patreon.com/somewhereinthering for some more stuff. Follow us Somewhere in the Ring on your social medias, wherever you social your media. Listen to Somewhere in the Skies, Ryan's wonderful podcast. Check out Pay the Tithe on Vimeo. And then I've got another new release coming up in a couple weeks. So I'm sure I'll talk about that here. And watch WWE's Leprechaun. It came out in 2009, I believe. Leprechaun, yeah. Leprechaun. Leprechaun is a little Irish myth, ghoul, being. I believe they're always Irish. Scottish? Irish. Who has pots of gold beneath rainbows. But not in this case. Come here. That's it for us today. Watch Leprechaun 2009, I believe. There's going to be a lot to talk about. That's very fun about that, and that'll be our end of the month episode. We'll talk about it later, August. And, thank you as always for listening. Hey, boys. At the end of these episodes, we usually have somebody ring the bell. Can you make a bell noise to get us out of here?
Ding dong. Ding dong.
Perfect. Thanks, boys.
This has been Somewhere in the Ring. Thank you for listening. Subscribe wherever you get your pods, and be sure to rate and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever possible. We'll see you again soon, somewhere in the ring.